It's Nolan. Yeah, I'm finna murder everything in my circumference, yo. Four bodies, one sitting like it's a conference, yo. Every verse I be eating, bring out the chopsticks, yo. Niggas banning my raps, I gotta pop shit, yo. Name somebody more consistent, I ain't narcissistic. I do say that I'm great, y'all on some all but miss shit. Competition is non-existent, I got them all. Metaphors over their head, guess I'm a volleyball. Passport just came through, I'm about to stunt. If you step on my new suede shoes, pull out the pump. If a nigga talking that red or blue, then we gotta dump. I don't wanna make them bleed, but I guess it's time of the month. Y'all niggas kill me. Talking about war, boy, I'm Achilles from the filthy part of my city. Southside niggas gritty, I ain't with the beef. But if you bring it, then I Mr. T, you John B. I pull up, doing magic like Quan Cheetah. Swag on a new high, bag on a new rise. I pass all these new guys, I'm still acting my shoe size. Real ones know that I got the juice, I leave them chopped and screwed. Tryna cop a coupe, my light shine like I rock with Zeus. Fortified, immortalized, live through the music, might pass on my knowledge to kids like I'm a tutor, might pull up to your door like school army recruiters, might wait outside your crib like you was calling a Uber. I don't know though, training the gym like Miguel Cotto. Put them in a box, ain't talking about taking photos, let me get a buffet. I'm elevating while they living dormant. They never give me my credit like I'm a city college. They say the meek will inherit riches and be rewarded. I need a street with my name on it like Jimmy Carter. I need a whip that can change gears like a transformer. I'm killing rappers involuntary like manslaughter. What's going on, beautiful peoples? The kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there today. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be going over Billboard officially crowning Kendrick Lamar as the greatest pop star of 2024. Now, that's not to be confused with the greatest pop star of all time as of 2024, but as in the year of 2024, all encompassing for this year, this calendar, they're saying Kendrick Lamar tops the list as the pop star, not as rapper, not as, any other variation of music, but pop star. I find that to be very interesting. I'm going to get into some reasons as to why, but let's go ahead and share the screen so I could go through this with y'all to understand their criteria and all of their reasons. And the only reason why I kind of question this is because I feel like there's some other pop stars, Taylor Swift, that may have had like more consistent year. Even I don't even want to use Drake as an example, but I believe Drake just took home a bunch of Billboard Music Awards over Kendrick Lamar. So I find it very interesting that they gave him some awards that Kendrick could have otherwise gotten, but then they put Kendrick as their top pop star of the year. So that's why I'm looking at Billboard a little funny, because it's like, is this a consolation prize? Is this some sort of makeup for a previous bad call, or is this genuine? Right? I'm not mad at Kendrick. Y'all know how much I enjoy his music and I enjoy his artistry, but I question the intention of y'all crowning him in this particular year-end roundup. All right. Again, I'm going to share my screen. Let's get into it. All right. Billboard staffs greatest pop stars of 2024. Number one, Kendrick Lamar. And they've been going through it, doing a countdown for weeks, doing a top 10. I haven't been covering it because I really didn't expect anybody from hip hop to really be included. But Kendrick Lamar is now taking the number one spot. They say Kendrick was merely on the fringes of pop stardom going into the year, but after a world swallow in 2024, he is once again on the short list of the biggest and greatest pop stars in the world. This is written by Andrew Unterberger. For this year's update of our ongoing greatest pop star by year project, Billboard has been counting down our editorial staff picks for the 10 greatest pop stars of 2024 for the last week. You can see the artists we've already counted down, plus our honorable mentions. I'm going to go to that in a moment after we get through this Kendrick piece. Comeback of the year and rookie of the year artists all right here. Now, at number one, we remember the year in Kendrick Lamar, who had a year that felt historic from its opening blast and only got greater as it went. Listen to our new Greatest Pop Stars podcast discussing both our two top artists and the thinking behind their rankings here. I would love to know the thinking behind that, but y'all be claiming shit. So they say Kendrick Lamar's 2024 was about many things, but first and foremost, it was all about him letting people know just what he's capable of. It was essentially the thesis statement behind the biggest song of the year. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas, with a sentiment that also ended up offering the title to the centerpiece event of his year. And throughout 2024, the often low-profile rapper did indeed keep popping out, emerging with new releases or revelations that captured headlines and captivated the culture. By year's end, the people had unquestionably been shown in ways they would never forget. And in truth, it wasn't unreasonable for the veteran MC to assume that a reminder was needed. Not that anyone had really forgotten about Kendrick Lamar or his greatness. His run of unanimously acclaimed albums and beloved singles in the 2010s had already cemented him as a consensus all-time great. But praise for his most recent album, 2022's challenging Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, was tempered and mostly brief. It received positive initial reviews and strong first-week numbers, but failed to either spawn a long-running hit single or dominate critics' year-end list the way his previous sets had. I think that's y'all's fault, not his. Because I still hold that up as my favorite of his catalog, but we'll keep going. The following year, his output was kept to 2 collaborative singles, with Baby Keem on the Hillbillies and Beyonce on the America Has a Problem remix. Both were met with similar initial enthusiasm, but little lasting commercial impact. Lamar was still a huge force in hip-hop and an overall legend, but he hadn't been a major needle mover in the mainstream since 2017-18, when he dominated pop culture with Damn and his curated Black Panther soundtrack. So we just not gonna act like Family Ties was a thing, huh? Because that had the culture in a chokehold, still does to this day. But whatever. What made Kendrick Lamar's 2024 so remarkable, though, was that he didn't just remind us of all the reasons why he was so big at his commercial and cultural peak. He showed that he could do things we'd never seen from him before. He showed that he was capable of hitting heights no other rapper had reached this decade, a period that had otherwise marked something of a downturn for the once seemingly indomitable genre's mainstream prospects. He showed that he was able to create cultural moments of both singular blunt force impact and massive historical gravity, and then to do it again and then again. And he showed that at his absolute best and biggest, he could dominate the streets, the charts, and everywhere in between with equal sun-blocking vastness, and emerge as the winner not only when pitted against his most direct adversaries, but against any other potential peer in popular music. I find all of this to be extremely funny, because it was just last night, what's her name? Moni Love. She just was talking about Billboard predicted that even if Kendrick Lamar won the battle, they felt that Drake was going to win. Right? When Drake dropped, they said he's in a battle with Kendrick Lamar, who even if he wins, Drake will win. That's what it was back in April after Like That came out. Now, all of a sudden, he's the greatest pop star of the year. Can I find that real quick? April 15th, Billboard. Even if Drake loses the Kendrick Lamar battle, here's why he already won the war. While Kendrick's verse on Metro Boomin and Future's Like That reverberated the hip-hop space, Drake fired back and looks to take control over a war he's probably already won. That's a very interesting turn of events in exactly 8 months. Now, I know people say, hey, man, your whole life could change in a year, but goddamn, we talking about shit. We just had the video talking about Kendrick's lyrics on 30 for 30. Didn't he say something about niggas saluting and about facing? This is quite an about face, Billboard. And the Moni Love I was talking about is Chilling with Moni, not the rapper Moni Love, just for clarification purposes. We'll continue. And it was like that from the very jump. After a quiet first couple months to his year, Kendrick Lamar crash landed onto 2024 in March with his guest verse on Future and Metro Boomin's incendiary new Like That, the song that y'all said Drake was gonna win anyway. Absolutely everything about the song and his appearance on it was a big deal. Lamar's cameo was kept under wraps until its release as the lead single and 6th track on Future and Metro's Much anticipated We Don't Trust You album and his unexpected presence was the most exciting part of a release that was already generating some of the loudest buzz of the early year, and the song itself was an obvious and immediate scorcher even before Kendrick's entrance. Based around expertly deployed high-octane samples of 80s rap classics by Rodney O and Joe Cooley, Everlasting Bass, and Eazy-E's Easy Does It, and Future's own effortless, understated Cool Like That, had a timeless and fundamentally hip-hop energy to it that any MC drop-in would have likely sounded great over. The song y'all underrated and said, he gonna lose anyway. But as explosive as the song could have been, even without him, it was still Kendrick's shit, stirring guest verse that really lit its fuse. His I Choose Violent sentiments, which followed in the footsteps of Megan Thee Stallion's Hiss. I see Billboard following suit with giving both artists their credit for kicking off the year. A similarly fire-starting and internet-conquering Billboard Hot 100 #1 hit from a couple months earlier were inflammatory from its opening bars, but largely narrowed their focus as his guest verse went onto two specific targets, fellow rap superstars Drake and J. Cole. Those two had scored a Billboard Hot 100 #1 together the year before with First Person Shooter from Drake's For All the Dogs album. The song, which Lamar also rumored to have been invited to appear on, declared the trio a big three via Cole's guest verse, implying, as many rap fans had similarly claimed throughout the years, that they were rap's reigning triumvirate, having each enjoyed over a decade of consistent commercial success and fan support. I'm still not over the way J. Cole's year turned out, but such is life, man. Hopefully 2025 will be better for him as he winds down the latter part of his career, which might be the final year. The three were not necessarily entering 2024 on equal footing, though, particularly not Kendrick and Drake. Kendrick's critical acclaim and across-the-board approval was easily the most consistent of the three. He has 17 career Grammys, third amongst all rappers, and over 3 times as many as Drake's 5, but he had also been the spottiest in recent years as a hit maker. Meanwhile, Drake's reviews had become progressively less enthused throughout his prior decade, but he remained bulletproof on the charts. First Person Shooter had been his 13th Hot #1 100, moving him into a tie with Michael Jackson for the most in chart history among male solo artists. Kendrick had just 2 total for his career to that point, and none since 2017. While holding increasingly polarized places in the industry, the two pivotal hip-hop figures also maintained an uneasy relationship with one another. They started on good terms in 2011, with Kendrick getting a big early look on Buried Alive interlude from Drake's Take Care, and as an opener on his Club Paradise tour the next year, but their relationship chilled soon after, particularly in 2013, when Kendrick appeared on Big Sean's Control. So they're giving us a whole history lesson of this man's career as to what led to him being the greatest pop star of 2024. That's a very interesting way of positioning this. With that instantly legendary guest verse, the West Coast superstar essentially anointed himself the best rapper of his generation. It was already out there, while listing his competition, including Drake and Cole, by name and saying with love that he was aiming to murder all of them. Drake smarted at the call out, and the two would trade subliminal barbs back and forth on and off record for years to follow. By the time of Like That, Kendrick was not feeling so subliminal. He didn't mention either Drake or Cole by name yet, but he left little doubt as to his intentions this time around, literally stating fuck, sneak dissing, name checking, First Person Shooter, and then proclaiming with disdain so acidic it could eat through your stereo speakers, motherfuck the big three, nigga, it's just big me. And while it was Cole's quote he was responding to, Kendrick's true malice seemed directed at Drake, given the verse's reference to Prince outliving Mike Jack and For All the Dogs. He gonna see Pet Cemetery. As the rap world collectively lost their minds at the sizzling beef of the consensus, best rapper of his generation firing shots at the obvious biggest, the song became an immediate smash, debuting atop the Hot 100, lasting 3 weeks at #1 and confirming Kendrick as officially back. Very interesting. Nonetheless, as the days passed following Kendrick Lamar's call out and rap rubberneckers awaited, if not demanded, a response from Drake, the first rapper to actually reply to the diss was J. Cole. Oh man, this is the part of the history lesson I don't want to even talk about. As part of his surprise release mixtape anxiously titled Might Delete Later, Cole offers some thoughts about Kendrick on the album's closer, 7-minute drill. He mocked the reclusive rapper's lack of productivity. He averaging one hard verse like every 30 months or something. and the underwhelming reception in Mr. Morale. Your last shit was tragic. Ah, boy. But still, went pretty soft at him by rap's diss standards, and even admitted his misgivings about the beef in the final verse. I'm hesitant, I love my brother, which I didn't support from the jump. I said that song, he should have kept that song. Other folks were hyped up about it until the end of the weekend. Those reservations bloomed into full-on regret within days, as the track got a mixed at best reception from fans. And by that Sunday, Cole was referring to drill as the lamest shit I ever did in my fucking life to his fans at his own Dreamville festival, and vowing soon after to delete the track from the tape, which he did. They giving a whole a whole lesson with all the characters included. Following Cole's bow out from the feud, fans once again turned to Drake for an answer. The biggest rapper in the game for the prior decade plus, it was hardly the first time Drake had been so publicly provoked. And as a student of rap history and of rap battles in particular, he'd proven up for the challenge multiple times before. In early April, push-ups leaked on the internet and showed a Drake who seemed revitalized and hungry for more. Dinging Kendrick for his allegedly bad label deal, his history of questionable guest verses for pop stars, and his height, among many other things, push-ups inspired mostly positive response, and unlike 7 Minute Drill, made it clear that Drake was ready to rumble. Now, I find it very interesting we're going to say allegedly bad record deal. How bad could your record deal possibly be if you have ownership stake in the entire company? As with all the OG TDE members have shares in the company. Ain't that what Drake's asking for from UMG today? And trying to go to the feds about? Okay. 5 days after officially releasing Push-Ups, Drake dropped another diss, Tailor-Made Freestyle, which needs to be stricken from the record, but whatever. Featuring AI versions of the Toronto rapper rhyming as Snoop Dogg and Tupac, not even doing... You know what was so weird about Tailor-Made? Is all he did was put AI on his voice and continued to rap in his own fucking style. He didn't actually encompass Snoop or Pac in the delivery, in the writing. He just wrote in his own fucking rap style with their voice. That shit was like weird. That was the weirdest part for me. Of course, the AI thing, even trying it, I guess it was clever to a degree, but it was also extremely weird. Whatever, we'll keep going. Showing extra disrespect to the Compton MC by mimicking his West Coast progenitors, and further taunting Kendrick for not having responded to Drake's first diss yet. With the days passing and no Kendrick response yet in the offing, some onlookers began to wonder if he was unprepared for Drake's multi-pronged response. But he answered such doubts on April 30th with the release of Euphoria, a 6+ minute excoriation. Not excoriation. Of all things Drizzy, poking at his insecurities about his mixed race and overall place in the culture, his supposedly absentee parenting, and even his alleged issuing of a cease and desist order over like that. Kendrick also declared himself the biggest hater, evidenced it with a laundry list of Drake items that inspired such ire in him. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. And then warned against Drake responding, if you take it there, I'm taking it further. Psst, that's something you don't want to do. The song electrified the internet, topping the daily and real-time rankings across streaming services, debuting at number 11 on the Hot 100 despite its midweek drop, and reaching number 3 after its first full week of release. And it continued to go up. From there, the volleys in the feud came increasingly fast and furious. That day, 3 days after Euphoria, Kendrick returned with 616 in LA, and Al Green sampling diss titled after Drake's famous timestamp series, which posited that even members of Drake's own team, were turning against him in the beef. That song didn't get much time to marinate though, as Drake responded that night with his biggest punch in the series, Family Matters. A remarkable 7-minute, 3-part epic that saw Drake adapt in multiple different flows to take on not just Kendrick, but several of the side opponents who had jumped into the beef at various points, including Rick Ross, The Weeknd, and A$AP Rocky. It also came with a video featuring Drake crushing a version of The Car, Kendrick featured on the cover of his Good Kid, Mad City album, flaunting jewelry that used to belong to tertiary feud figure Pharrell, and even eating at Chinese restaurant New Ho King, which Kendrick referenced on Euphoria. Most notably, it ended with accusations about Kendrick being physically abusive to fiancée Whitney Alford. They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. Family Matters was a stunner, but the song got even less time in the spotlight than 616 in LA. Not even an hour later, Kendrick returned fire with Meet the Grrrls, a series of lyrical letters penned to Drake, real name Aubrey, and members of his family, mother Sandra, father Dennis, son Adonis, that made for the most vicious and cold-sounding entry in the beef. What about the alleged daughter? Y'all gonna skip that, huh? Over Icy Piano Plinks, Kendrick launched a full-on character assassination of his opponent, not only raising the stakes with major accusations of his own, that Drake had been sleeping with underage girls, but mentioning a secret daughter. Okay, thought y'all was tripping. Of the Six Gods, calling back to Drake's feud with rap great Pusha T in 2018, which had essentially ended with Pusha's revelation that Drake was hiding a child in Adonis. By this point, the feud had gotten exceedingly messy with horrific allegations, some of which would be downright criminal in nature if proven true, but none of which were ever accompanied with any real evidence, they say. The actual veracity of the matter seems to mean less to onlookers than the escalation of both the drama of the back and forth and the speed by which it was now being accelerated. Anyway, leaving rap fans delirious with whiplash and making it tricky to rule on who, if either, was leading in the fight. We knew who was leading in the fight because who was bringing the harder punches to the motherfucking ring. Who was lighting up that scorecard that week? Anyway, but the next song will be a clear KO. Not even 24 hours after Meet the Grrrls, Kendrick released his third new song of the weekend with Not Like Us. The song doubled down on the accusations of Grrrls with barbs as brain sticking as they were condemning, trying to strike a chord, and his rally ain't minor. And also spent an entire verse breaking down how Drake used his Atlanta collaborators for cred and cachet, concluding, "You ain't a colleague, you's a fucking colonizer." Now we have Lil Baby coming out saying he didn't like being mentioned in that record. If y'all two are in a fight, please leave me out of it. Don't include me. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't really like you mentioning my name in that song like that, bruh. No worries. Don't worry. You ain't gonna be mentioning a motherfucking thing because niggas ain't been feeling your last shit no way. You got 2 albums finna come out in a span of a couple months. Let's see what those do, because you been out here recreating the vibes that got you famous. Lil Baby starting to look like Duh Baby. And I fuck with you, my boy, but not that much. Let's keep going. But more important than the song's lyrical content was how goddamn catchy the thing was. Outside of the beef starting like that, Drake and Kendrick had mostly been sparring with long, hookless songs based around aggressive, unwelcoming productions. Not Like Us, by contrast, was irresistible from its opening saxes and strings, with an infectious Monk Higgins sample and beat hymn by storied West Coast producer Mustard, and a universally applicable 4-word chant along chorus, "They Not Like Us." The song wasn't just another crushing body blow in the beef, it was also an undeniable pop smash, the kind of jam you could hear and love without knowing a single thing about the context behind it. It was a knockout blow. And a whole lot of people did, almost immediately. Not Like Us became the most popular and beloved song generated by the feud, debuting atop the Hot 100 despite an incomplete first week of tracking, and despite arriving at the most competitive time for big hits on the chart in recent memory. The song was just that sensational, not only dazzling those who'd been invested in the back and forth from the start, but also delighting casual music fans of all stripes. Before long, it had spread across all pop culture, becoming a reference point for Kamala Harris during her presidential campaign, and also the year's biggest new jock jam, lighting up sports stadiums and arenas across the globe and eventually soundtracking the Los Angeles Dodgers World Series championship celebration. The song's 4-note riff became arguably the most iconic string hook since Bernard Herrmann's classic Psycho score climax 64 years earlier. Wow, that's a huge comparison. And probably even scarier for Drake, who was now trailing in the feud by just about any estimation. Drake did respond to the Kendrick twofer by the end of that weekend with The Heart Part 6. Boy. That was the stand and 8 count. That's what that was. That's what he should have called that motherfucker. Stand and 8 count. Knockout. Ref came and hugged him after he dropped this song. Titled after Lamar's own State of the Union address, which denied any relations with minors and taunted his foe for the hidden daughter claims he made on Grrrls, which Drake said was misinformation he'd purposefully leaked Kendrick's camp. But the song was not particularly well received, with many viewing Drake as sounding overly defensive on the track and also just coming off understandably exhausted in general. While Drake had competed well and showed out very respectively, across the feud, his strategy had proven faulty. The Hart was another imposing, hookless freestyle type rant, which few were tempted to play back a second time when they could keep bumping Not Like Us. It all pointed to the most unlikely twist of the feud's denouement. All throughout his beef history, Drake had carried the day by pivoting back to scoring hits, the one battlefield on which no competitor of his the prior 15 years could possibly match him. That it was Kendrick who won the feud by delivering the undeniable pop smash with Drake still mired in dirgy beats and chorus-free invectives was simply astonishing. That nigga said back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record, and I'm gonna drop all fucking week on your head till you bow out. With the feud essentially over, the rapper having showed all he could possibly hope to show, and Not Like Us remaining omnipresent, as the spring began to turn into summer, it was easy to imagine Kendrick Lamar, never one to overstay his welcome, retreating back to the shadows and letting his now unavoidable hit trumpet his W for him throughout the year's remainder. But the first and most important indication that less is more was not going to be his strategy for 2024 came with June announcement of the Pop Out Ken and Friends concert to be held on Juneteenth at the Forum in Inglewood, California. While a Kendrick live show was not necessarily a particular rarity in itself, his Big Steppers tour had just taken him all over the world throughout the end of 2023. The date, location, and general post-feud timing of this particular show suggested this was going to be more of an event than usual, and it certainly fucking was. Greatest pop star of 2024. Number 1. Universally revered as an MC for over a decade now, Kendrick Lamar had his greatest year as pop star in 2024. He repeatedly stopped the world with drops. They finna recap what we already read through the recap. Boy, get out of here. That perception was quickly validated by the show, which was not only delivered to a packed forum full of celebrities ranging from NBA stars LeBron James, James Harden, the fellow mega pop stars The Weeknd and SZA, but to millions watching around the globe via streaming on Amazon Prime. The friends alluded in the event's name ended up being a who's who of local talent, from up-and-comers to longtime West Coast stalwarts like West Side Boogie and Dom Kennedy, to true national stars like Tyler, the Creator, and Steve Lacy, as well as beloved hit-making collaborator of host DJ Mustard like Ty Dolla $ign and YG. But of course, Kendrick's performance was the main event, and his set, which also included appearances from Black Hippie co-stars Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, and Ab Soul, and from legendary early mentor Dr. Dre, proved a celebratory moment for Kendrick's entire legacy dating back to his Good Kid days, and encompassing a staggering number of hits, although none from Mr. Morale in the years since. Of course, the biggest spotlight moment was saved for Not Like Us, which Kendrick played as the set closer and ran back repeatedly, cutting his first two renditions off at the first verse's A minor line, letting the crowd and millions, by then participating along over social media, stretch out minor for him as he shimmied wordlessly. By the fifth time through, he had been joined on stage by dozens of well-wishers in the crowd, including NBA stars and Cali natives Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan, and members of various local gangs, with the usually opposed sets united in their love for Kendrick and for their city and their disdain for his enemies. Kendrick even staged a group photo with all involved on stage before calling it a night, commemorating the moment as one about much more than just him, though it also was undoubtedly about him and how he was enjoying a victory lap like few seen before in pop culture history. It wasn't over yet either. Just weeks later on Independence Day, Kendrick released the music video for Not Like Us, his only song in the feud, even including Like That, to receive an official visual. The brilliantly composed and, of course, LA set clip portrayed Kendrick as a local deity, leading public throngs of followers and chant-alongs of the by then hymnal chorus. And also as a family man dancing in his home alongside fiancée Whitney as their children played behind them. I don't know if that was in their home, but it was in a home. While Kendrick had explicitly denied Kendrick's minor abuse allegations on record, these video images were the closest Lamar ever came to publicly responding to Drake's domestic abuse claims, broadcasting the message that all was good within the Lamar family unit. Yeah, fabricating stories on the family front because you heard Mr. Morale. Also unequivocal in its messaging, The vid's inclusion of an OVO-looking owl being beaten as a piñata, showing that the biggest hater had not yet risen above kicking his adversary while he was down. The video's July 4th release also felt like an additionally purposeful reminder of just how not like us his Canadian foe remained. Regardless, excitement around the video sent the song back to number 1 on the Hot 100 for a second week. From there, things mostly went quiet in the feud as it appeared that Kendrick was already turning his focus to 2025. In September, the rapper was announced as the headliner of the upcoming Super Bowl in New Orleans via an Instagram video in which Lamar hyped up his performance and perhaps implied that he would not be running back his Drake beef. You only get one shot at the championship, no round twos. The announcement was met with some controversy over the fact that the NFL did not first reach out to Drake's old mentor and Big Easy icon Lil Wayne for the gig, despite the fact that the big game's host city and the hometown of his chosen halftime performer have only ever matched a few times in the show's 30-plus years of pop headliners, but also a great amount of excitement over how the most victorious performer of 2024 might cap his year-long W on the Super Bowl stage. If Kendrick's year had ended there, he would still have had a strong case for being the greatest pop star of 2024. Oh, really? He was the co-protagonist and eventual conquering hero in the biggest music world story of 2024, and his renown only seemed to multiply in the months that followed. He had 2 Hot 100 number 1 hits to his claim, including the biggest pop hit of his career, and by many accounts, including the Billboard staff's eventual own list, the best pop song of the year in Not Like Us. He could claim several of the year's defining cultural moments, and he was already headed for a triumphant start to 2025, not just with the Super Bowl, but as was announced in early November, likely the Grammys as well, where Not Like Us and Like That were up for a combined 7 nominations, including Song and Record of the Year for the former. If there was one remaining hole in the resume, it was simply a question of volume, as he'd only officially released 4 total songs in 2024 to that point, a low number for a greatest pop star, especially in a year where several of the top candidates released full new albums. But when you know it, Kendrick Lamar was about to check that box as well. At noon on Friday, November 22nd, with absolutely no warning and no reason to suspect that anything was even on the horizon, Kendrick dropped GNX to streaming services and digital retailers. The 12-track set of all new material swept through the internet like wildfire, proving the excitement for Kendrick's 2024 had not abated in the months following the pop-out. The set drew rapturous reviews from fans and mostly the same from critics. The day of its release, esteemed Stereo Gum writer Tom Brian declared that he was already ready to tell you that it's the best album of 2024 and the greatest work of Kendrick Lamar's career. Very bold claims in my assumption, but everybody doesn't have to agree. The commercial response was similarly effusive. GNX debuted atop the Billboard 200 with 319,000 units moved, the best number for a hip-hop set in 2024, despite coming with no physical release, and blanketed the entire top 5 of the Hot 100, including Kendrick's third number 1 of 2024 with the set's Squabble Up, Squabble Up. More noteworthy in size than the set's numbers was its overall feeling. Kendrick had gone big with his albums before, but rarely quite so mass appeal. Outside of his grinding and grumbling opener Whacked Out Murals, GNX was easily his most accessible work since at least Damn, and probably of his whole career. The floor-filling Squabble Up was propelled by a sample from Debbie Deb's 80s freestyle classic When I Hear Music. The lush Luther floated over a hook borrowed from Luther Vandross's version of If This World Were Mine, with help from superstar collaborator and former label mate SZA, and the inflammable TV off practically baited TikTok to make it go viral with its Not Like Us reminiscent mustard beat and Kendrick's impossibly memeable mustard mid-song yelp. None of the 3 songs felt like compromise or concessions. They were all quintessentially Kendrick and reminded of past beloved hits, even if they now listed top 40 conquering super producer Jack Antonoff in their credits. But it was still a little stunning to hear them all on the same LP. Tellingly, in their first 3 weeks on the Hot 100, the 3 songs remained in the top 10, and each took turns as the highest ranking song from the set. GNX merely confirmed what his entire 2024 to that point had already pretty clearly suggested. This was the year that Kendrick Lamar really decided to go for it. He had hardly ever been a shrinking violet to that point, He was responsible for some of the grandest artistic statements, biggest hit songs, and weightiest accompanying videos and largest scale live performances we had seen in the last decade, but most, if not all of it, did seem to come with the slightest bit of hesitation. The push-pull many major artists go through when faced with the prospect of total pop ubiquity. Kendrick likely desired a level of mainstream success and recognition commensurate with his level of acclaim from hip-hop heads and critics, but did he want it enough to accept everything else that came with it? Maybe not always. Even as recently as Euphoria this year, he was sneering at Drake, "Only you like being famous." And so he would often pull his pop star punches, refusing to play the mainstream game, disappearing from visibility for long stretches, but not this year. This year started with like that. He was all the way in, and when he saw an opportunity available to him, he immediately put that motherfucker in a headlock. Whether it was Drake and his continued rap reign that so inspired him, or whether it was the relatively muted reception to his absolutely underrated Mr. Morale that got his blood up, or if simply after 15 years of having this bitch jumping, he decided it was time to prove beyond a doubt who the game's true alpha dog was, or some combination of the three. He left no meat on the bone in 2024. There were countless moments throughout the year when Kendrick could have declared victory and gone back into hip-hop hibernation, and no one would have faulted him for it. But instead, he ended the year with 3 Hot 100 number one hits, the year's most acclaimed and biggest debuting rap album, 7 Grammy nominations, goddamn, and a book gig on the world's biggest stage. That's what the truly great ones do. Or more to the point, what they don't do. Content themselves with good enough or even great enough when there's all-time potential on the table. Y'all still got more? People be calling me a glazer. Y'all niggas turned coat and everything and decided to write a 12-paragraph story. And Kendrick's year was easily an all-timer. It'd have to be to rise to the top of these rankings in 2024, an all-time spectacular year for pop stardom. It's unquestionably the greatest year a rapper has had this decade, reminding that rappers even can still have years this big at a time when the crossover paths to pop level success are simply not as open as they were 5 to 10 years ago, and on the short list of the best years a rapper has had this entire century. Let's be real, man. Most people don't pop off this hard in their first year. First 4 to 5 years, which is typically when you have your greatest success. This nigga came in and said, "Nah, bitch, 12 years later, I still got that bitch jumping even bigger than when I first came in." That's the part that's so amazing to me personally. They say it is certainly the most all-around triumphant. No other rapper has ever toppled a foe this mighty in such spectacular fashion, at least in the short term, assumed his turf in the process. What you mean? What you mean, at least in the short term? You making that seem like they gonna have some ongoing competition, some ongoing battle. The battle over, homie. Everything from this point is just parsley. Hell y'all talking about? Am I frozen? Oh shit, I'm frozen in the corner. Ain't that about a bitch? I don't even know how long I've been froze. That's the downside of me not being live. Y'all couldn't tell me because I can't see that shit no fucking way. It don't matter though. It's all about the message. We'll just say that was I don't know. We'll keep going though. While Kendrick commanded the entire top 5 of the Hot 100 at once this year, something that previously only Drake had done among MCs, none of the 6 guys' own post-beef releases have even graced the top 25, and it's hard to remember a single other artist from any genre who stopped the world as many times in one year as Kendrick has in 2024. Each of Like That, Not Like Us, The Pop Out, and GNX made for an iconic cultural moment that fans will remember with piercing clarity and still visceral excitement decades down the line. There's still no real end to the victory lapping in sight either. Beyond the Super Bowl and the Grammys, Kendrick also announced a co-headlining 2025 stadium tour alongside SZA, a live scale neither of the other big 3 have ever attempted. None of them have gone out on a stadium tour. I remember somebody was like, J. Cole's not as big as Kendrick Lamar. He's out there doing stadiums. Now we find out this is his first stadium tour. Anyway, meanwhile, the 3 GNX hits remain 3 of the very biggest non-holiday entries on the Hot 100, meaning They should also be three of the biggest number one contenders on the chart as 2025 gets underway. And they may soon be joined by a fourth, and SZA's just released Kendrick featuring 30 for 30, which is already dominating DSPs. And who's to say what totally new material he may soon be inspired to drop, especially considering his mural just got whacked out again. That shit was fucked up. I don't even think these are real OVO fans that are doing that shit. I think it's just somebody that want attention. By the time his next year is over, we may need to stop comparing him to other rappers and start comparing him solely to Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Interesting. Y'all would have never said that in 2023. It just goes to show sometimes when you pop out, you end up the greatest pop star of them all. Jesus Christ. So that's what they had to say. Now let's get to the rest of this list. So when it comes to honorable mentions, they got Bruno Mars. What the fuck did he even have out? Oh, Die With a Smile with Gaga? Whatever. I'm gonna act like I ain't see that because I ain't see that nigga. Drake, an honorable mention? He wasn't even in the top 10? Wow. Why not top 10? His resilience is admirable, but that Kung Fu Kenny KO was undeniable. So a nigga who possibly would have been a number one contender got knocked all the way out of the top 10 rankings. That's interesting to me. Where's the actual list? Shabuzi got Rookie of the Year. This guy got, I don't even know who the hell Hosier is. Comeback of the Year. Jelly Roll number 10. Jelly Roll number 10, no Drake. In pop. I mean, Jelly Roll been doing his shit. But damn. Number 9, Billie Eilish. I mean, she had a pretty great year. Jelly Roll been king of the collabs too. Number 8, Post Malone. I don't fuck with Posty, but you know, he did have a year. Popped out on Beyonce shit too. Number 7, Beyonce. Number 6, Ariana Grande. She's always a contender. Number 5, Charlie XCX. She's had a monster year. I haven't read anything that included pop without seeing her name. Chappell Roan, same shit. Number 3, Taylor Swift. Damn, how'd she fall to 3? Number 2, Sabrina Carpenter. I would probably reverse that. Sabrina had a big as fuck year too. Didn't she work with Drake also? And then you got number 1, Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if I agree with this. He's had a monster year. You know what I'm saying? I would give him top 5 just out of the crazy year that he's had. He's definitely done immense things, especially from a hip hop perspective. But I mean, even Taylor Swift knocked him out right out of the number 1 spot with the re-entry of her old shit from this year. You know what I'm saying? So that's tough. I don't even listen to homegirl music, but when we're talking about pop standards, that's the only thing that makes me a little hesitant. Then when you look at the Billboard Music Awards, which just was a couple weeks ago, you know, you look at everybody that won. Top artist, period, was Taylor Swift. Kendrick wasn't even in the fucking list. Drake was. I'm not a Drake apologist by any means. I'm just saying y'all gave him the greatest pop star of the year award, and he wasn't even in the top artist category in your award show. That doesn't make sense to me. Top new artist, Chappell Roan, she got that. Top male artist, Kendrick wasn't even in the fucking category. What are we doing? Morgan Wallen got it. Drake was in the category, but he wasn't given it either. Top female artist, Taylor Swift. Top Billboard 200 artist, Zach Bryan, Drake, Taylor Swift, SZA, Morgan Wallen. Taylor Swift won it. Kendrick's not even in the category. Top Hot 100 artists, Zach Bryan, Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift. She won that. Morgan Wallen. Top Hot 100 songwriter, Amy Allen, Jack Antonoff, Zach Bryan. Kendrick Lamar finally shows up in the list. Taylor Swift got it. Top Hot 100 producer, Jack Antonoff, who produced for both Taylor Swift and Kendrick Lamar in the year of our Lord 2024. Yeah, that seems like it makes sense. Top streaming songs artist, Taylor Swift. Kendrick's in the category, he didn't win it. Top radio songs artist, Taylor Swift. Kendrick's not even in the category. Top song sales artist, Shabuzi. Top Billboard Global 200 artists. That's the entire globe. Taylor Swift won that. Top Billboard Global excluding, I think that's exclusively U.S. artists. Taylor Swift. Kendrick's not even in the category. Top R&B artist, SZA. Top, you know what I'm saying? But y'all ain't want to give this man his awards. Top rap artist of the fucking year. Y'all gave it to Drake. How did y'all give it to Drake? Top rap male artist, Drake. Top rap touring artist of the year, Travis Scott. Right? So every opportunity that y'all had to stand on business with your greatest pop artists of the year, he didn't receive none of the accolades in your own award show. But then y'all come back 2 weeks later and say he's the bee's knees, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Y'all know I fuck with Kendrick the long way. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy in Billboard. That I don't like the game that y'all playing. Y'all trying to regain some favor or some shit. Top Billboard 200 album. Some kind of way for All the Dogs is on the list. Ain't these all like old records? Strange. Top rap album for All the Dogs. I don't know what the cutoff was for some of this stuff, but I would think for y'all, a lot of this stuff is somewhat current. 2024 releases. Top Hot 100 song. Teddy Swims. Kendrick's not in the category. Top streaming song. Zach Bryan gets it. Not Like Us is in the category. Didn't win. Top collaboration. Future, Metro Boomin, Kendrick Lamar, Like That. No win. Top rap song. Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. So he won in what, 2 categories? I don't like that shit. Now, I don't want anyone out there to think that I'm trying to discredit Kendrick Lamar for getting that #1 spot on this list in any way. That's not the intention of this video. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy that Billboard is on. Because how is it that he got snubbed in all these different categories, many of which he wasn't even listed or a candidate or a nominee, but then he takes all the cake at the end of the year, just 2 weeks later? That seems strange to me. Again, it just seems like this is a consolation prize for fucking him over. But whatever, that's Billboard in their opinion. I just saw it come across my timeline. I checked that out and I said I'm going to talk with y'all about it because that's what I do over here. We give commentary about the things that are happening in the music world. All right. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good out there. Much love and respect, y'all. Peace. King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross I'm out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.